Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. With us tonight, we also have a comedian, Marty Laquidara.
Hey, how are you?
Welcome, Marty. A little closer to the mic there. There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
A little closer.
How about that? Now we're actually
You know
making
what you
contact.
do, Marty, lift the mic up. Lift the mic up. Yeah, there you go.
He has a little problem there. All right. But this is AM radio. We can't get into that.
Yeah,
Behave
right.
yourself, will you?
So, Marty, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on.
Thank you.
You're a good friend of several other comedians we've had here before.
Yeah, Pat
Yep.
Labario.
Yep, we had Pat. Yeah, in past episode. You can check out on KLEANradio.com.
The Pepsi guy.
Yeah. I actually watched a few of your clips on YouTube before I came down. I've seen you live once.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think you did a show with my wife once, and I was like, oh. And yeah, one of the things that you did a thing on cocaine that I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. I have a bunch of material on coke. That was my thing, coke and alcohol.
Ah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
turn some of that pain into some funny.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And money.
And
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Ko. We've been and
How you doing,
Tony
Doctor?
Dennison. And we've been speaking about really tonight's main topic's been about medication and use and abuse of it, and how to properly get treated, I guess, right?
That and defining addiction.
Right. Yeah.
And Tony's friend that apparently stole somebody's antidepressant.
No,
They borrowed it.
No, they just decided they were going to take it. But I've had that incident. I've come across that several times in my sobriety. With different people, finding justifications for why. Oh, it's okay because I took the same thing before, and I said, well, how long ago? And in two cases of two different individuals. It was like a substantial amount of time. And I said, look, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination. I said, but I don't believe that, whatever maybe I'm using the word incorrectly. Your psychology back when you were first prescribed might not be the same now. I said, so.
That's true.
Yeah. Am I using the word correctly then, psychology?
Well, or their neurochemistry might be a little more exacting, but wherever their head is at,
We see that over time too with patients, right, Dr. Ko? I mean, somebody in their 20s and then 30s, 40s, 50s, as you age and your weight changes or whatever, that your different you build tolerance to some of these medications.
Your brain chemistry changes.
Right.
And is it possible?
Your appetite.
If your brain chemistry, is it possible for your brain chemistry to change so that the amount that you need might be less than what you previously had? I know people have gone down in Prozac from so many milligrams down.
It can go down, yeah, definitely.
So that if you're taking something that was maybe 15 milligrams, just arbitrarily taking, I don't know these numbers to be a factor in the two incidences that I'm speaking of, but I mean, is it possible that you could take 15 and you only really need 5, and the 15 is not really doing you any favors?
That's true. And sometimes the need goes up, particularly in late life, in the geriatric phase of life. When people, maybe their nutritional status is changed or their brain starts to change. Yeah,
What first attracted you to psychiatry? I mean, you obviously started out to be whatever. I mean, you're a medical physician.
Just curiosity about the mind is really the bottom line. I think I started reading Freud and Erickson in college, and I was fascinated. One thing I wanted to say is I've treated all populations from every socioeconomic class, and I really like staying in touch with people from all walks of life. I think that does.
You're like the Jesus of psychiatry.
Yeah.
Did you set out to go into psychiatry?
I know you were going to say what, except he's Jewish?
No.
I thought I'd go to medical school and be a psychiatrist. While I was in medical school, I kind of wavered. I wanted to do plastics. I wanted to do ear, nose, and throat like my father. But at the end of the day, I found I was more interested in talking to people and finding out about them than just sort of being a body mechanic. It's interesting. One of my kids said that, Dad, you live life like a science experiment. And I couldn't argue. What he meant is that I study everything and try and understand it in some fashion or another. I want to make sense out of the world.
Oh, isn't that Dylan who said, he who's not busy being born is busy dying?
I couldn't understand
Yeah.
any of his lyrics, so.
Oh, it's a great lyric. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, it's awesome. I've got everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's from- it's
Co's a
all right,
huge
Mom.
Dylan fan. I
No,
think
it's
he,
all right, Mom. I'm only bleeding. It's from that album.
right?
And the number
I mean,
here is
that song, I mean, that song.
877-830-830,
I love
877-8.
talking about Dylan. Let's talk about Bob Dylan for a
Oh
second.
God, I can't stand Bob
You hear
Dylan.
what he did, Dylan?
I cannot
He was in
stand.
Me either.
I can't stand Bob Dylan.
I'll
No.
admit it, and that's like
I know
because-
it's like admitting you don't like jazz, which
yeah,
I don't.
or Bill Hicks if you're a
No,
comic.
Yeah.
I
you know?
can understand you not liking the quality.
You
of
don't
his
like Bill
voice,
Hicks either?
but you can't.
I like this guy's honesty.
You don't like
respect
Bill
him,
Hicks
but he
or
doesn't-
Dylan?
No,
Wow.
yeah, I'll punch myself in the face. But here's the thing: no, Bill Hicks, I respect what he did, and I like
Right.
comics that have a point of view and something to say. I mean, if you just do silly jokes, whatever you're into, I like comics that have a point of view, and he did have that, but he would go chunks of time without making me laugh. So I'd watch a 10-minute set, and I agreed with his point of view. I'm like, but it's more like a public speaker because
Well, it's like
I'm
Lenny
not
Bruce
laughing.
had that too, though.
Right. So I just think that yeah,
I
for
can
me, he didn't make
understand
me
you
laugh,
not-
and if you're a
I-
comic, make me laugh, and also if you have a
And
point
give me
to
the
it.
I
message.
can
too.
understand.
Tony
you
is
not liking-
extremely offended by this
no,
Bob
it's not-
Dylan.
I don't know Bob Dylan at all, but I can understand you not liking the quality of his voice. Okay.
Right.
But his music and his lyrics are
Yes.
very interesting.
I recognize-
and
You got to remember though too,
Very
it's
melodic.
a different demographic.
yeah, but it's just.
I
mean,
think Dylan. No, but I think
the
everything
sound
is.
of a good music is. I mean,
It's time and place.
No,
You know, we've had this conversation about movies. I grew up in the 80s, so for me, The Breakfast Club and any of those movies, I consider them works of art.
Oh my God!
But
right.
to somebody,
that's enough. Just
I
stop
love
there,
John
Judah.
Hughes. I'm with you,
right,
man.
right.
I love John Hughes
We're of the
movies, man.
age that John Hughes
no,
was
but I
our.
enjoyed. I
Don't
watched
you-
Breakfast Club.
Right,
and I didn't
but
walk
you,
away.
right,
It's not a work
right,
of art,
because
like,
changed
because
my life.
generationally, it's the same difference. With
I thought it was well
You
done.
hear people constantly talk about Sam Peckinpah, right? You hear people talk about. I mean, it's like if you're from certain generations.
Oh, don't get me started. Sam Peckinpah broke through into a whole new genre.
I don't know,
of
but that's
filmmaking.
not what I'm saying. What I'm
Right.
saying is you love Joy Division, right? You and the 6 other people in the world, and that have actually heard of Joy Division or the Pixies. But that obviously,
I want every Joy Division fan out there to call in tonight. That's
you
what
were
I
in
want.
college.
Tony,
Tony could
tonight.
share with you some of the greatest stories about the bands that played at his college.
I know bands I went to see.
Okay,
also.
a perfect example. We were at a party about a month ago, and what's that guy's name saying? If you can't be with the one, it's Stephen Stills, right?
Stills, yeah.
Now I'm sitting there going, "Oh wow, that's so cool! Stephen Stills is here." But Tony, you must have had a spiritual experience because this was the guy from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young,
Well, no, more specifically Buffalo Springfield.
Buffalo Springfield,
And more
right?
specifically, the hot women he was with when he
Right.
was listening to
Who
those
was during the
albums.
'60s? But during the '60s, these guys were anti-war. They were, Kent State and all these things. So for you, it had that effect. For me, it was like, okay, cool, Stephen Stills.
No, but I'm saying I can understand what
Adolescence.
people
Right.
could say. I mean, I remember back when I was a child, there was a guy named William B. Williams, and when the Beatles first hit the scene, when the I want
It's a good thing his middle initial wasn't D. Just so you know.
Yeah, when the Beatles
Billy
first
D.
hit the scene, he said, when I first heard "I Want to Hold Your Hand," he goes, "I wanted to hold my nose," and I thought to myself, okay, you know what, this you can't. If things are like there's a certain melodic sound, to like really well crafted, well performed music. And it doesn't matter that the voice might not be very good. I mean, some people would argue Randy Newman doesn't have much of a voice, but his music.
I don't think
and his
many
lyric-
people would argue that.
But his
He doesn't have a good voice.
But his music and
it's
lyrics
great.
are
Yeah, it's
phenomenal.
great.
I have a reason.
Same thing
for
with Marvin Hamlish. Marvin Hamlish is
Yes.
Well, I just found Bob Dylan to be kind of boring, like his voice. But then I grew a disdain for him when I was on the road with this comic from Scotland, Luke Francis, who had just, like, we're on the road 7 months together, and he had just discovered Dylan.
Right.
And whoever drove has to control the radio, and he would literally play it like 80 times.
It's like
in
your
a row.
senior year in high school and everybody
Yeah.
finds Zeppelin in the Doors.
Yeah, so by the end of this road trip, like, if I could choke Bob Dylan, I would have. And I know they were going to hate me, but
But
like
you know what he
85
did that was very disappointing? Apparently, he performed in China,
Yes.
and he agreed to censoring his music.
I read that.
Really?
It was so
Bob
disappointing.
Dylan would do
Yeah.
that?
I mean, at
You
this
know-
point,
Well, they
now,
also
I mean,
paid him quite a lot of money.
And
Yeah,
you know
but
what he said?
It's not like he's
I
broke.
was never about rebellion.
Right, only
what he
Joe
said?
Baez and Woody Guthrie, and that's what he was
Yes,
all
and
about.
The song I just
Right?
mentioned, "It's All Right, Ma, I'm only bleeding." I
Right.
mean, like "Blowing in the Wind." I mean, these are all
Right.
rebellion songs.
And apparently the three of you have an addiction
Right,
to Bob Dylan.
We got to take another break. KLEAN Radio, come back. We're having a heated discussion about Bob Dylan. We're going to then get back on topic to sobriety and recovery.
Yes.
But give us a call at 877-830-830. It's KLEAN Radio.
Is that what he said? I'm not.
Given everything inside and out.